Why WoW 2 is coming and could already be here. Really? This is
WoW
sure.
2 is coming. And it's been a pretty hot topic in my circles for a while now. I was even asked about it at my recent Blizzard trip to Boston. However, it has caused some confusion as to what WoW 2 would mean for our beloved 20-year-old MMO. And the weird thing is, it's kind of already happening. Let's take a look. I'm not going to BS you and say I've confirmed or leaked info. We don't. It's speculative for sure, but there is so much evidence to suggest that something may be in the works. The World Soul Saga itself having a definite endpoint, and that the final expansion, The Last Titan, probably being Azeroth, might...
Okay, so I'll gather what I think. Okay, so I haven't thought about this ever since like WoW came out. This expansion that released, I quit early on because I fucking hate add-ons, and add-ons just pissed me off. I hate that I couldn't play without them in PvE, and PvP wasn't even in the game yet, and I quit before I could even do it because PvP takes like 2 weeks to turn on. So I got bored and I just quit and said fuck this. But lore-wise, yeah, I looked at the end of this. You're basically gonna kill Azeroth. It's literally the name of the planet. I would assume that's potentially their way of starting a second WoW. Like maybe a new planet or some completely new direction where Sargeras and the whole thing just gets wiped, some reset, maybe something like that, possibly. That's where my head was at. This is now bringing me back into that headspace because I completely stopped thinking about it. But Preach lives in this headspace and has for God knows how long. So, yeah,
caused the destruction of some or even part of the planet. All right, time for a lore catch-up. Okay, in the beginning, there were Titans. They are huge, and they all live friendly, held hands, lot of flowers going on. But then, one of them got mad. See Brownbeard?
Sargeras.
Sargeras, yeah? Got horns. He was mad, wrecked all their bodies, but trapped fragments of them in the big suck. And then we come along, muscle bound. What did we do? Sucked off Sargeras, yeah? Straight to the Shadow Realm with you. Still around though, Illidan coming back. And then, Baby Bean. Azeroth itself is a world soul. Where do Titans come from? Boom, baby beans. And that's in the middle of our planet. What does that mean when the last Titan approaches? Bang. Everything's gonna break. That's how you do lore. Screw you, Nobble. WoW, over its 20 years, has amassed a lot of geographical space that, let's face it, in the retail version of the game is basically empty. So a little catastrophic destruction wouldn't be the end of the world, literally. And with things like the Caverns of Time existing to go back and do the older content when players want, it's all good. All that is to say, if you were going to do something spectacular, then the end of the World Soul Saga fits quite nicely, doesn't it? Which brings us to WoW 2.
Okay.
Now, since the discussion started, there have been quite a lot of suggestions and confusion on just how that would happen. Would it be a different launcher? Would there be new characters to make? Would it be like FF14, where they literally destroyed the game and a new one launched that was entirely different? Would it be like Overwatch, forcing everyone to move over to Overwatch 2? Maybe it's even got some FPS component or something.
Blow up the entire world.
As crazy as it may sound, it's understandable where these ideas have come from. For years, people have been making all kinds of wonderful WoW-inspired content using tech that isn't over 20 years old at this point. And I'm sure many of you have seen recreations of your favorite zones made in Unreal Engine, with gorgeous lighting, fully voiced, or
AI bullshit.
Even looking at Blizzard's advanced animation techniques that we know they're capable of. Before we go into that, though, the question always comes up, why? Why would there even be a WoW 2? Well, pick your poison. There's no way in hell Morhaime and the squad expected their game that they made all those years ago to be still up and running. And it's pretty clear, the speed bumps are over for now. It isn't going away anytime soon, so it makes sense to start planning for another 20 years. I apologize to my OGs for what's about to happen, and to the people who are now playing WoW who were born after it came out. This isn't going to be pretty. Do you realize just how old World of Warcraft is? We say 2004, but do you know that's the year that Half-Life 2 came out? Halo 2? Metal Gear Solid 3, which is now about to get its 5th revision of the game. If that doesn't make you feel old, let me do this for you. Doom: The Dark Ages just came out and people are ripping and tearing all the way through. Do you know in 2004 though, Doom 3 came out? A game so advanced that it couldn't even run on most people's PCs at all. Still not enough? Okay. Last week, as of recording this, we got the big reveal of GTA 6 coming next year. What it looks like.
Oh no.
In 2004, along with its marketing of
Vice
some of the
City?
best, most realistic graphics out there, GTA San Andreas, came out. Look at them side by side, my friends. 20 years is a really long time in tech. Problems with current WoW are pretty obvious, right? For the most part, the game runs decently, but then... I'm not going to be rolling dice again here, but you guys have done a world boss. Whole game just falls apart. It's in fact gotten so bad that 30-man Ansarek was essentially unplayable for many people. WoW was known for a long time as the seamless world with no loading screens, and now, well, we load screen every couple of seconds. At the Race to World First, not only do the raiders get top-of-the-line PCs, but they have all these weird rules, such as relogging or restarting.
What does it being old have to do with the loading screens, though? Wouldn't, like, updating graphics and modernizing it make it worse?
Performance loss if you are playing WoW for a few hours. Silly things have been a nightmare to change.
Maybe old tech, I don't know.
Size for one. Like
Better
the
engine.
entire original code was built on the back.
I don't know.
Or the struggles they've had over the years with multi-core performance, which has grown, don't get me wrong, by leaps and bounds over the last decades. They have done some phenomenal upkeep and updates over the years, but the issues, they're all there for people to see, and I'm sure you can name 1,000 more. With that said, let's have the grand reveal. What, in my opinion, would WoW 2 look like? Well, here's a screenshot of World of Warcraft today in retail. And here is what WoW 2 would likely look like. When we're discussing WoW 2, it's not about the graphics. WoW's graphics can always be better, but the style has been pretty timeless. When showing you Grand Theft Auto earlier, the comparison doesn't really fit with something like WoW. More importantly, MMOs are like a comfortable blanket for a lot of players. A dramatic shift in appearance and style would likely not be welcome.
I fucking hated when they changed the way the character models look.
So many times. People lost their minds at the updated character models.
Fucking awful.
Myself included. My Tauren used to look way meaner and angrier than this goofy face thing. No. The idea of WoW 2 is primarily back-end. To allow the game to do all the things they wish it could
y'all were talking about,
and may want to do in the future without it being hamstrung by literally decades of old design. And that is what leads me to the next point. It's kind of already happening. Dragon riding and the new housing function that I got to test should not exist. Housing in particular was a feature I've talked to people at Blizzard about since 2016. The message was always the same regardless. It just can't be done in a way that makes it what the players want and expect. The game simply cannot do it. Well, just a week ago, I played it. It works, and it shouldn't. So how was it done? Look, man, when devs speak to me about this stuff, they rightly regard me like a child who cannot fathom that it is possible to connect two shoelaces together in a way that stay tied, and rightly so. I don't know about this stuff. But essentially I asked, how did you do it? How is this possible? How is dragon riding possible? It's not just the player in the 3D space, but faster, which is basically what normal mounts are. The answer was essentially, well, it wasn't. Until someone figured something out a few years ago, and now it's here. Cool. All right. But here's the important bit in the statement that I got. Years ago. Often people don't really understand how long in the making things are. Blizzard has been working quietly, discreetly, on major additions for the game for literal years before it ever sees the light of day, and God knows how many they've scrapped. And an overhaul of WoW could very well fall into that category. Now, I know many of you are thinking, what's the point in making the same finished product that we see in game again? Well, this is actually happening, and I'm really not going to be chortling the balls here of FF14, but there's a prime example happening right now that is very relevant to what we're talking about, so bear with me here. FF14 is coming to mobile. That's right, the entire MMO, cutscenes, audio, the whole thing is going to be available on a mobile phone. Now, here's the thing. It's being rebuilt, similar to what we're talking about here, by a different company to visually come across as the same, but they're changing the foundation. They're changing their infrastructure at the very base, which is allowing the mobile version to do things that the main game cannot. I know that sounds crazy, but it is exactly what's happening, and it's causing a lot of issues in the FF14 community because they're like, wait, the mobile version in some ways is better than the console and PC version. A simple example would be dyeing armor. You can dye your armor in FF14's main game. You can do it with 2 different colors. You can change them around to whatever you want.
Sure.
The mobile version allows for 16 different dye channels on your armor. You can customize the buttons, the lapels, the logos, all sorts of things.
Could you dye your armor on your phone and then just log onto your computer?
In the main game in a farm, right? You can do that with the use of add-ons. Add-ons allow you to change all the 16 things on armor. But the actual base game infrastructure does not allow that much information to be transferred amongst the players that are playing the game right now.
Oh, they're separate games.
If you want to do this, what you can do is save it.
So mobile players cannot play with... Why do they... All right, whatever.
Locally to your machine. So you use an add-on, it shows you with your
something more relevant to get upset about,
in that way, but information is not.
There's got to be something that's like actually annoying.
That is the trick. Their infrastructure does not allow that kind of information to pass between players. The foundation doesn't quite work. What the mobile game has been able to do is actually go in, change that base infrastructure, so even though the actual finished product looks exactly the same, no different whatsoever, the underlying structure allows them to do many more things. And you can imagine exactly why the main game players are a little miffed that the mobile version is seemingly superior in some ways. Why does this exist over on my bloody mobile phone, on my tablet, instead of existing in the big main game I'm playing on my super expensive PC? And there are a number of other examples of it. But this is a prime example of what we're talking about that WoW is trying to do, and WoW might want to adopt, is by remaking the whole game, changing all that base infrastructure, allowing a lot more doors to be open. The finished product looks the same, but it is absolutely not the same at the bottom and allows for so many more options. So with that said, perhaps World of Warcraft 2, as in the box, the collector's edition, the expansion, the title itself will never exist. Instead, Blizzard has found a different way. Bit by bit, they're going to consume and overtake and replace all these old systems one by one. Or perhaps, when the credits roll on the World Soul Saga, we'll see a message.
Let's talk about more important stuff for WoW 2. Like, I mean, I guess going into the engine and changing stuff over time, sure. But like lore-wise, are we still going to be some fucking god who helped save Azeroth for the 19th time? Or like where's that kind of stuff? That's more important. I feel like you need to like do a reset with that. That needs to be reset. Fuck. There's also a ton of other band-aids you have to fuck with or rip off. And a pick your poison. Like, what are some things in WoW that I hate, but you cannot take away now that you've added it, right? Flying mounts. Maybe people like dragon riding. So this is coming from like, not just a classic WoW freak, but you know, I played every expansion after that for a while, up until Dragon Isles or whatever. I hated flying.
Have you read the SOD update from the classic devs?
No.
That they're working on the next classic project. You can find it on WoWhead. Oh, and if you feel old, the new char design in WoW has been there longer now than the OG design.
What character's design's been the... I don't know what you just said. But yeah, I don't know. Do you rip off like transmog? I think transmog sucks too, but also, you know, I think about taking it away and I'm like, what the fuck do most of the players do the entire day now? I feel like transmog, yes, it takes a lot away, but also you should probably keep it because it gives I mean, you look at the drama of coloring your clothes in Final Fantasy. Like, that shit matters to a lot of people, whether they admit it or not. Mythic Plus is great. You can't get rid of that. I think solo queue is great. I've never queued it. You can't get rid of that PvP-wise. Do you keep all of the classes to where, like, I guess since you have Mythic Plus, you need to have every class be viable for Mythic Plus in some shape or form. That means almost every class needs an interrupt. Every class needs a form of CC. Every class needs their defensive. Like, every class has to be good in every position in order to do Mythic Plus, right? So that's kind of going to get fucked. I don't know. Don't care about that? Okay. Don't care about Mythic Plus. Same with Arena. So basically the competitive things in the game. When it comes to high-end rating, I don't know if there's any fix to it, because if you look at Race to World First, they pretty much always have a lot of one class, whether it be Death Knights because they're OP right now, or Hunters because they're OP right now. So basically, if you're doing anything in the game that's like, hey, I'm actually good at the game, you don't care. That's fine. I don't think you can fix any of that. But lore-wise, do you blow up the earth? What do you do with Thrall? I feel like all of their stories are coming to a close. I don't know. I could ramble. Remove raids. Okay, let's remove raids. Let's remove dungeons, and let's remove arena. That sounds good. WoW 2 is going to be sick. Thrall, they will be remade to be a woman. Okay. All right. Also, is this why they are implementing add-ons into the game, since with WoW 2 they will break? Well, the add-ons would probably just update themselves if they weren't going to combat the add-ons. So, I don't know. If I had it my way, I want WoW to exist as it is. I would probably make some pretty serious changes. I think the biggest problem is solo queue is like, you have to wait 30 minutes to get into a game because the player base is dead. So, there's really no fixing that, other than getting more people to play. But announcing WoW 2 or doing some big update might fix that a bit. I'd remove all add-ons. And I'm talking slippery slope. Fuck it. The only add-ons that should be there are like maybe a recount, which should be in-game. They should have a DBM, but it should be in-game. I'd be okay. No interrupt bar. I'd be okay with that. Maybe there'd be like some arena interrupt bar or something. Maybe. But again, if you don't have add-ons, your competitors don't have add-ons. So that's fine. Fuck all add-ons. They're all dumb. I'm tired of everyone having a ridiculous fucking UI. It hurts the streaming world of WoW, and whether you like it or not, that matters. And that affects the player base.
Can we check what Sasmong is thinking about this? There should be 3 hours video up there.
Probably. Speaking of WoW, take this with a grain of salt. I was telling Vicky about Mop. I said I don't really want to play. Because it's just too much, and it's like, I'm not, whatever. But then I told her, I said, but Feral Shadow Priest, Resto Shaman is actually a really good comp in Mop. It's probably the best Feral Shadow Priest has ever been. And Vicky loves Shadow Priest. And she wants to play Shadow Priest with me on Feral. I said, well, we'd have to play 3s. We'd have to level a character to 90. We'd have to farm Battlegrounds and get PvP gear. And then we could queue. But then we'd also have to find a 3rd. And she said, well, let's ask Lakari. So I said, okay, but just remember, I don't know. We might do all of this and queue a day and quit. She's like, yeah, whatever, sure. So I messaged Lakari and I say, hey, Lakari, would you want to learn Resto Shaman in 3s? If y'all don't know what Resto Shaman in 3s, it is an extremely intimidating class to play. 1, you have to learn how to heal, which is already hard as fuck. 2, as a Resto Shaman, you have to... Well, you have an offensive purge, which is already a big, important thing. And you have grounding totem. And you have wind shear. Not to mention having to do all the healing in between. Your awareness has to be insane. So, Lakari might kill himself if he actually tries to learn Resto Shaman at a high level. I don't think he's ever even played WoW. I don't think she understands. It's gonna be fucked. You have Spirit Link? I think you do, but maybe I'm overthinking Resto Shaman, but I'd be super scared to play it myself. He won't be able to. I don't think he will. Healing in WoW is like, you just feel so helpless. It's rough. Yeah, Sea-Doo could coach him, but you can only coach so much. You have to just be able to do the game your damn self. Resto Shaman and Mop wasn't that bad. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But I play a Disc Priest, and I was like, I guess Disc Priest is also AIDS because you have to like Shadow or Death polys. And you have to offensively dispel and defensively dispel while healing, and just good awareness. What does Resto Shaman bring in Mop that makes the comp so good? I think they're just really good at not getting CC'd. And your interrupts, your offensive purge. I didn't play a lot of Feral Shadow Priest in Mop. I did a little bit, I think, with Talb and maybe some others, but I didn't really queue it a lot. I played a lot of jungle with Dilly Poo instead. But I do know that, like, Bean played it. It's good. How many Tekken references will Akari make? I don't know. But WoW is like chess. It's not a fighting game. The only, I guess maybe landing your kicks and not getting fake casted is a bit of a mind game. But everything else is like chess. Just get Bean or Grayson. Think they'll play Resto Shaman. It's chess when you're good with buttons first. There are no mind games at less than 2K rating. I mean, again, you get to a point in WoW where it's very scripted. To an extent. Like your duel with T1. Yeah, super scripted. Can't believe I threw on purpose. Silly of me. If WoW 2 happened, people would just quit anyway. Probably, actually, yeah. I don't know how many like 50-year-old or 60-year-old dads that just have their comfort game of WoW where they log on and do world quests and log off. You fuck with that rhythm, you lose millions of subs. Is he Asmongold? Asmon doesn't play WoW. Even when he played WoW, he didn't play WoW.